about you come back to the mansion now? I got some Tyson snacks.
Holy mackerel!
Well, I tried.
Hoss, you don't avoid the question.
Oh, God. If Tyson wasn't here, I'm pretty sure I'd be the dumbest one here. Wow! There are so many things wrong with this picture. Oh my word, I'm so shocked. I could have never seen this coming.
You're at the heart of this? You're at the heart of all this? Let me freaking lose it! Wait.
Thanatos said small parts of his memory has been deleted on previous timelines, and as a result, obviously doesn't know what they are. If someone had deleted a portion of his memory trying to cover the fact that Benson sleepwalks, specifically ones on alternate timelines where that would have been an effective instant murder, he may not remember it. So the rat's words can't be trusted wholesale. If that's the case, it would have been intentional to incriminate someone in the main cast while the mastermind maintained their distance from the situation by erasing evidence and tampering with Thanatos, thus preserving the random variants. It's still entirely possible that Benson is the one that provided Sal with the pneumatic injector. My theory never had any holes in it at all. It's the rat who had holes in him. Good grief! I have been pulling my hair out for 2 weeks trying to resolve that in my head. I swear I can't tell if playing Ace Attorney has made figuring this mystery out easier or harder at this point. I've seen the CG that's going to be in this update. I don't know how it's going to play into everything, but boy, am I excited. In a daze, I got dressed and wandered downstairs. I needed coffee, and each step forward felt sluggish. Tomorrow, at some point, Roswell and Oswin would head off with Dom. Then it was a waiting game for Roswell to come back when we'd be able to go home. It didn't really sit well with me, but it wasn't as if I had a say in it. Is it too early for me to make a sacrificial pig joke? The faint tapping of his foot in the counter clued me into him being there before I turned around.
What are you doing? Oh boy, it's been a minute since I did the voice. Okay. What are you doing?
Thinking.
Stop that.
Seems like an easy order for Dave. Dom is coming tomorrow, right? If we play nice, then we get off the mountain, right?
Do you think he's just gonna let all you walk off the mountain? Think Memphis will do the same?
Yes. Dave, take Thanatos' advice. Stop thinking. It's not like I've had to make deals with the Mafia before. I hate how you make me feel, by the way. Like I don't have any say in anything. Like I don't have any control. None of this bad stuff would be happening if you weren't around.
Take that back. You don't know anything. You can't even comprehend how many times I've had to watch you all die. The same conversations, the same questions, all for what? I'll tell you what it wasn't for, Dave. It wasn't to spend an eternity solving a problem that has no answer.
What's going on here? Oh, Orlando, thank goodness. The rat is making editing work for me.
Oh, talk some sense to him.
He wants me to think about what I'm doing about Jack.
Did I hear that right?
You look terrible. You know what I find kind of funny about all of this? The fact that Thanatos is having more trouble as we go on insinuates that there haven't been a whole lot of timelines where we've gotten this far. Still don't trust you, Thanatos.
Well, good thing we pivoted away from you being able to help us a long time anyone back. A good thing we pivoted away from you being able to help anyone a long time back. I'll be taking Dave for a bit.
For what I think was the first time, Thanatos led the way out of the kitchen towards the front door. Wait a minute. This seems familiar. Do you hate me? All of us?
That's complicated.
I love this rat.
What you think of me and what I think of you lot doesn't matter. We're so close. So painfully close.
To?
The end. You need to have a plan for Jack.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about what the plan for Jack could be, honestly. My knee-jerk reaction is to sick Benson on him, but let's see, out of the 6 bad timelines, he only came out on top once? Benson may have been a past assassin, but with history as evidence, he sure ain't able to pull through.
One of you is going to need to be stabbed. Maybe a little.
Charming.
If someone's going to take the fall there, assume Roswell will get in the way like he normally does.
And if I don't want Roswell stabbed?
You offering to take his place?
Oh boy, I wonder what that's foreshadowing.
Not as if telling you to give up and letting them die is going to be much different.
I'm sorry. Are you saying what I think you're saying, you little rodent?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know something, don't... You know, doing these memory screen effects isn't easy, Thanatos. When I opened my eyes, I was restrained somewhere dark, off in the corner against some sort of rusted pipe.
Breaking the balls made the rat call. Down, buddy, pal, friend. You can just say yes. I just want to know when we get some action. I'm so bored. Could at least go say hello to your friend at least just...
Their voices echoed from far enough away that I got they were deeper into the mill. Things started to fade when I heard footsteps getting closer. I couldn't tell whose, but from where they started, they couldn't have been either Dom or Jack. I am so hyped for that timeline, I want to see it! Also, I couldn't help but notice, why was Jack's text blue but Dom's white?
Yeah, I'll take credit for that.
Looking over to Thanatos, he seemed confused about something, and I thought I knew what. What kind of a person even does that?
Well, I'm...
Hardly a person. It's happening! It's happening!
On a more serious note, 2 questions for you.
I don't know what I'm going to do about Jack.
But
I can't believe it. We actually have the rat on the defensive. I love this! There isn't many options for us, is there?
what are you playing at? You know what you're doing. What is wrong with you?
I probably need therapy, among other things.
Yeah, among other things. Have we had this conversation before?
No. Actually, we haven't. Or we have and you don't remember.
Well, you tell me what happens next then.
Where's the Leo medal? In the place Oswin does his best work.
How did you know?
Last night, the dream I had, you said that you didn't cause it, but...
You're right. I didn't.
Dave's remembering backwards. It's all falling into place.
I don't know how still, but you're remembering. You probably want to know what the Leo medal is.
The place Oswin does his best work, so the lab.
Good job, Dave. You finally put it together. No.
Oh. Well.
Let's go for a walk. Over there.
Wait, it's the study? I bet this changes on Roswell's route.
Time's ticking. You're looking for a book. Oswin's sister hid this one away too.
What's the book?
The 3 Little Pigs.
You know, I'll give Florencia credit. As multiversally insane as she probably is at this point, I like her sense of sarcasm.
Do you want me to tell you a story, or do you want the medal?
Honestly, I'd like the story. Opening the book, I found a section of it hollowed out. The pages hadn't been glued together, but the bulk of the book, or maybe its age, kept the thing together. Carefully setting the book down, I picked up the medal. But that wasn't all that was in the book. A lone photograph left underneath it.
Aww. Little Oz is cute. Take it in, Dave. Who do you think these are?
Obviously Oswin and his siblings. I stared closer at the photo, rubbing my thumb over the glossy print. Why was this here?
Remember what is most important, Oz. Flora.
Oh, sweetheart, you just made yourself 5 times more suspectable. Thank you for reaffirming me that you're behind all this. Before I go, what happens in this version of the story?
Right. The story is the same for the most part. 3 pigs, 3 houses, you get the gist. The first little pig leaves home, gets sick, and dies. Poisoned by the influence of the outside world and ultimately done in by a rabbit that offered them piece of chocolate.
Clearly not the Easter Bunny.
The second goes somewhere far away and is presumed dead. This one was also offered chocolate, but instead turned into a rabbit. And the third...
Let me guess. Survived.
Yep, they survived, but the rabbit didn't. Cooked alive in a house after trying to burn it down.
Is that more foreshadowing I smell?
Before I forget, probably best you head downstairs now before you miss it.
Oh boy, what is this going to be? What is this?
Roswell's sick. He'll be fine, comparatively to, well, dying. That's not much of a comfort. Roswell, please.
I'm fine.
Well, you are not fine and you know it.
I can't sleep. I have to keep...
Passed out. I didn't give him anything if that's what you were wondering. All this excitement is likely wearing him down faster than if we were just leisurely waiting out the clock. I'll go put him to bed. You figure out amongst yourselves what you want to be doing next.
Well, with Roswell out of the picture, I think I know who's going with Oz now.
A few moments later.
Dave Thanatos is being a menace. And the sky is blue. What do you want, Orlando?
With Roswell out of commission, I just wanted to see if Orlando wanted to go see his dad.
I love this rat.
It does raise an important question, though.
Hello, Sal. Where did you come from?
If Roswell is out of commission, how is that going to affect the exchange tomorrow?
It's going to be us. It's going to be us. Okay? All that leaves is, well, Benson, myself, and Dean.
In which case, I'll be the one that decides.
Ah, the head hog has arrived.
Ideally, I'd like to go with Roswell given reasons that need not be explained again. I'll have to consider with who our best option is moving forward.
It's us. Just say it's us. There's something else I wanted to show everyone. It might not be much, but my eyes went to Thanatos briefly before I dug around in my pocket, placing the Leo medal carefully on the table.
Where was it found?
In the place Oswin does his best work.
Excuse me?
That was the clue I was given by Thanatos.
Real nice throwing me under the bus there, Junior.
Anytime, you little goblin. Oswin's sister had hollowed out the inside of a book to hide the medal and the picture inside. I went to speak, but he was already moving, breaking out into a run as he cleared the dining room. Oh, this was going to end wonderfully.
And there was nothing special about the photo? No additional clues?
I'm still trying to figure out if the bee was a metaphor for something. There was a note on the back, written by his sister, I think. Something about remembering what was most important. What could be most important?
What indeed?
What indeedly do? It was a picture of him and his siblings. Then it'd have to be family, right?
Who really knows? It's not like any of us have a functional family life. No, my family is just fine, thank you very much.
I can hear a rabbit in the background screaming.
We're not going to find out that you and Dom are secretly cousins or something, are we?
Boy, I hope so, Orlando. If we find out this bear has mafia connections, it's gonna be the best thing ever. Oswald, you in here? He was sitting at the desk, the photo clutched tightly in his hands. Though the moment I made a sound, he stiffened and sat up straight, dipping his head so he could quickly wipe his eyes.
I'm fine. All things considered. There's no benefit to being alone or with people, so do as you please.
What does the note mean? on the back of the photo?
It was always something she said to us. Something that was meant to keep us focused on what we were meant to be doing. It was the last thing Reggie said to me before he passed as well. I got the feeling he knew something bad was going to happen and, well, he was right. At the very least, Flora was there with her husband, and Benson came soon after I called him to tell him what was wrong. He was there when Reggie died, passed, and took me away soon after things were...
Oh! There's that rabbit screaming again.
I suppose the time for tears can be until after you've escaped off the mountain with your friends.
Someone can figure out who can go along with you.
Yes, that is something we need to decide, isn't it?
It's Dave, oh my word, just say it already!
If I'm being frank, I'd much rather you didn't join me. Your liability more lies on one. I'm going to spend the rest of the day concocting something to jumpstart Roswell to a stage where he can come along as intended, or at least try. You best rest as well, Dave. I imagine tomorrow is going to be tolling for everyone.
Ah, Benson, hello. Can I ask you a personal question? Oswin and Roswell, they're not related, are they?
That is a touchy subject.
Say it!
A long time ago, Oswin wanted a child of his own. Life decided that it wasn't meant to be. He decided as punishment to himself that he was unfit to raise a child.
So Roswell...
Let's just say it's a means for him to enjoy the thing he wished he had.
You are very careful with your words. Also, you are stringing this thing along real nicely. When they both go into the woods tomorrow, I have questions.
And at that time, I'll be happy to provide answers.
Will we though, Benson? Will we really? You know what? I'm not gonna lie. Boy howdy, I am feeling good with this update. I was dang sure that I was not gonna be able to bounce back after the last update, put holes in my theory. And I'm not joking when I said at the beginning, I was 2 weeks in trying to figure out how to solve that. My theory is back on point, and Florencia has put herself back in the prime suspect seat. I think I'm feeling pretty good. You know, I've been told many times that I should be scared about what's in an update. There is always something that takes me by surprise, admittedly, but it's usually not enough to completely surprise me. But this time, everybody and their dog has been looking forward to me playing this update. And that has me scared. I'm not sure what's going to be in this update, but something tells me this is going to be a tough one to edit. Now the real mystery of Password begins. Do I have any saves on the GRF timelines? Okay, recap. We're on G. Let's see, who's dead? Oz was stabbed back on day 10. Dom is dead. Tyson is dead. Orlando's dead. I think that's everyone. For now. The hurried scrambling of feet on tile alerted us to Thanatos' arrival. What do you want, Thanatos?
Are we meant to be waiting for something? Nothing good. It's all just a matter of time. You hear that? I think I can hear the hopping of a rabbit drawing near. So what's it gonna be, Dave? Stay or leave?
Are you really offering that choice to me again?
Jack will arrive in 1 hour.
That's oddly specific.
If we stay, can we hide? It's an option.
Also known as no. We can hide the secret passages. They don't know to look for the library.
Assuming Dom didn't tell anyone that existed.
Okay, but to be fair, we also have the study and the lab. There are a number of places that are secure.
The hedge maze.
That's actually not a bad idea, Roswell.
You're not going to like it, but today doesn't go so well most times.
No kidding.
Alright, fine. Better talk about this now rather than waiting until the bear is up. You wanna know what happens if you stay behind us? I've had front row seats every time. You're the messiest by far.
Oh my freaking word.
Do you think it gets any better for Dean? Maybe Sal. I can tell you that Jack is a nasty piece of work when he's on a rampage. Dean ends up a rug, and I think Sal would make a nicer pair of shoes if Jack was a bit cleaner with his knife work. You and Dave, though.
Okay, you can stop, Thanatos. You can stop.
Either way, I'm gonna be heading off. Got things to do before Jack arrives.
Look, I get that the rat could be a real piece of work and all that, but Haas didn't deserve that. Jeez. Okay, so we're just gonna hide, right? There were murmurs from the others, but we all seem resolved to head to the maze. Not that we had anything as far as weapons to use in case the worst happens, but the goal was to be hiding anyway. Every now and again, something would make one of us jump, but the moment we heard the aggressive knocking coming from somewhere nearby, we almost all jumped out of our fur. The knocking echoed out over the walls of the maze, but this time was accompanied with a crash a short while later. No yelling, no gunshots, nothing but silence. I'm not even a part of this story, and I'm just sitting here trying not to move. It was a gunshot, followed by another, and then the sound of something else breaking. Another gunshot, then the sound of what I guessed was a window shattering nearby all at once.
What's happening?
Timmy, shut up! What are you waiting for?
Oh, hello, rat.
Oh yeah, now the fun is over.
I missed everything. What happened?
Oh, Dean, get over yourself. But what happened?
You'll see when you go back inside.
This isn't gonna end well. There were multiple gunshots. So, something tells me Elmer didn't win. The moment we entered the house, each of us froze. The smell was intense. Take your bets, people. Who's it gonna be?
The only thing we can maybe be sure of is that Jack is gone, right?
Oh yeah, he's gone alright. Head back into the woods.
Never mind, I'm retracting those bets. Benson.
Is dead. Yeah. Oh, jeez, I'm so sorry for choosing the route that ends up with the least amount of you dead.
Ends with the least amount of us dead. With Benson gone, who on earth is going to make it out of this? I peeled away from the group and made my way upstairs. If we were leaving, I wanted to make sure I had anything important that would be best to take. This included taking Tyson's phone from his room, along with some other bits and pieces. But when I got to Orlando's room, something was amiss. As if someone had been in here. Someone other than Orlando. I don't know what to make of that, though I suppose that makes sense based on the fact we still don't know why he went out into the woods that night. I wandered over the bed and cautiously reached out for a folded piece of paper left on it. Well, it's been a good 2 weeks in-game since we saw you. Honestly, I almost forgot it existed at this point. My word, that's been a year or more since I've seen that. All I needed to do was wait until tomorrow, and I could get home. It all seemed too good to be true. I get the feeling it is, Dave.
Dave!
He said nothing else, instead turning on heel and walking out of the room. One last look over his shoulder implied he wasn't waiting for me. Where are we going?
Doesn't matter.
It's the middle of the night, so yes?
Just keep following. We need to set something up.
Set something up? Guided me down the driveway, and I watched as he twitched slightly the further we got on. If the hedge mage was the age of this working range, I wondered just how farther we were going.
Here.
Shakily, he pointed to a rock and I put him down, him dropping down into a sitting position immediately. We're a bit further from the house than I thought we'd come.
We needed to.
Are you gonna tell me for what now? He struggled to stand, but managed. The illusion of him being a rat faded from how his neck seemed to twitch.
Are you ready for a story?
I thought we needed to set something up.
No, not this one. It's not fine. Forget the story. I'm just going to tell you like it is.
Tell what like it is?
The experiment, it's over.
Wait, what?
Dave, do you know what the completion of the experiment means? It means that I won. That I don't have a purpose to fulfill from this point on.
Is that bad?
My master would say no. He would say that it was all worth it to ensure that you lived. That you alone survived beyond anyone else.
Contain the excitement, contain the excitement, contain the excitement. Why does all the juicy stuff happen when there are emotions going?
It was always you, Dave. The thing keeping this group together and alive before your dad got involved with Oswin's little workaround. You were meant to die. That set into motion a series of events that wound up with everyone you know and love dead too. But we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Because we're escaping in the morning?
Do you understand the lengths I went through to ensure your survival?
No.
Well, hopefully you do someday.
You're starting to freak me out. More than usual, I mean.
Don't fret, Dave. You're safe.
Can we go back inside now?
About that. One last thing. Try not to remember how much this is going to hurt.
One last one for the road. I need a minute. I need a minute. Okay. Well, I suppose that's one way to account for path divergence. Before us was Dad's grave. The rest of my friends without a marker to their name, all things considered. Services were held, at least for Haas and Dean. Nothing for Orlando or Sal. I had one for Tyson alone, and with no one left to attend. And Roswell's was a strange one.
Oh, I didn't expect to see you here.
Hello, Florencia.
Are you alright?
I don't know, sister, you tell me. Florencia, I want to know something.
Yes, dear?
Why were you at Roswell's memorial?
Well, you know how Oswin was. I felt it only appropriate to attend when he couldn't.
Uh-huh.
It's no secret. My brother always wanted a son of his own. Having Roswell along for the trip was no doubt putting him at risk of being, well, I suppose a surrogate son is about as apt as we're going to get. I don't mean to sound grim, Dave, but everyone did end up dying. Perhaps he just caught wind of that long before anyone else did. If he didn't, then I'm sure Thanatos would have said something.
I pulled Thanatos from my pocket, still limp, and showed him to Florencia. He's dead too. Or whatever robots have as an equivalent.
How did you?
Oh, those eyes. It took me out of the house just before the bombs went off. Didn't say anything about saving anyone else, or anything.
How strange.
He said something about an experiment and how I was the one needing to be saved, had it succeed.
He always said the strangest things. I remember being there when he first woke up, in a frantic panic trying to explain who he was and that we had to listen. Kept talking about a fire and he'd seen other iterations of the universe that was so much to take in.
You believed him then?
He was made to recall the histories of cosmic cycles, so either someone had programmed him with false records as a prank, or he was telling the truth. When someone says that those people you love are going to die, you listen. Still, that's just life, isn't it? And death too, I suppose. It helps me cope with the loss of the people I tried to save.
Do you know who his master is? Or was?
Now that's a tough question, because the person that I believe to be his master hasn't existed for a long, long time, in a manner of speaking.
No. Oh my, no. Lady, do not tell me that. Do not tell me that he only existed on one timeline.
This reminds me of a story.
You bores in your stories.
It's an old fable called The Two Rats.
I can hear a tanuki cackling in the distance.
There were two rats, one old and one young. The older rat, upon finding a baited trap, goes to the younger rat and explains that there is a tasty morsel to have. Alas, with youth brings inexperience, and in this case, the young rat dies to the trap.
What a cheerful story.
Don't follow advice blindly. Much like when Thanatos woke up, I listened to him, but didn't blindly listen to him like someone else might have.
But you knew what he was planning.
I had some inkling, but unlike you, I was not on that mountain. But imagine if I'd shown up a bit sooner, Maybe I would have been on the mountain. Maybe everything that happened would have been very different.
But what was the password to open the vault, anyway? That's a nice gear shift, Dave.
Planning on trying to remember it for the next go-around?
That would be the point, yes. More for presidents requires trauma or something, though, so Dave, go stub your toe after this.
I do know the password, though telling you isn't going to be any good, even if you did remember. Because when I hid those medals and entrusted the rest to Benson to hide, I also told Thanatos to keep watch and remember where each of them were found. Additionally, not to open unless the password is given and every last medal has been uncovered.
Nice dead man switch.
I can say for a fact that why I did what I did was completely unrelated to you or any of your friends. But it has its uses. I have my own experiment to run. Perhaps with the David and another iteration of the universe we have yet to get to. Perhaps with someone else.
Don't worry about it. Thank you, Dave. One last go for the road, huh? There wasn't anything left for me on that mountain, or from that family. My life stagnated from there on out. I wondered if in the end, it would have been no different to me dying on that mountain after all. Huh. I'll be honest, I have no idea where this is going to take me. But yes. Oh my, we're back at day 17. Okay, back to skipping. Knowing now in retrospect that Ace Attorney has in fact ruined me, I noticed something interesting with this mystery recently. At this point in an AA trial, we'd have someone who we as the player would want to be guilty. We may not have reached the point of proving their guilt yet, but we'd have a suspicion or a lingering hope for them to be the one behind it. Someone in the story that had been slowly insinuated to be the villain, so right before the reveal, we'd come to that conclusion on our own. And as of right now, we don't have anyone like that in Password. Frankly, not even Florencia, as shocking as that may sound for me. The only true villains this story has shown us is Memphis and his goons, all of which are obviously not the ones behind this. Everyone else is either arguable alibis or has been shown to us in relatively continuous good standing. There's simply no one that we've been taught to dislike, even past suspicious behavior. Since we're likely only a few in-game days away at this point from resolving who the mastermind is, at this point, if my lingering theories are correct, which I kind of hope they're not, to be honest, I'm afraid that when the mastermind is finally revealed, it won't be a moment of, aha, I knew it, but more of a moment of, okay, but why? The fact that we still have so few leads that have been consistent for a while is becoming extremely concerning for this story's narrative. I've been doing some thinking recently about who the mastermind is, who the murderer is, all that kind of nice stuff. And I tell ya, I'm not liking where my theory's going at this point. I've expanded my horizons just a little bit, because if those horizons are even mildly correct, there's a lot of very, very tough questions that need to be answered. A lot of those questions being ones that I don't think are even capable of having answers. I feel like we're this far into the story, I should have clearer answers at this point.
2,000 years later.
Thanatos informed me of your plan, and why. So to that end, having you out of the way while I confront Jack is preferable. Should the worst happen...
He pulled out a hunting knife and offered it to us. Then came out a large revolver.
For you, I have something a little more unconventional.
That's where he handed me a pneumatic injector. Oh boy, I hope we live long enough to do this.
Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits. Ha ha. Bang, bang, bang. Come out of your holes, you cowardly rabbits. Bang, bang.
Well, it sounds like it's going better this time at least. Benny boy, we're home. What happened? Where's,
She's no longer a problem.
Oh, look how proud he looks. Not gonna lie, Benson, after the last few times you've had a run-in with him, I did not expect you to be alive when we got back.
Also, I suspect he may have been up to something else. As expected, he found Dominic fairly quickly, but then went about doing something. For the brief window of respite we have afforded us, I suggest we go searching the house. See if we can find out what exactly Jack was up to.
Roswell and I wandered down the hall following Dom's blood trail until we entered the room which his body had been left. Just now, there was another one alongside it. Find something?
I really hope I didn't.
He held up a small device with a screen. A bunch of buttons and a few letters and numbers labeling each.
Oh, so that's what he was doing.
Well, I wasn't expecting to play Bomberman today, but I guess that's what we're doing. Time to split up, gang. The moment I stuck my head out of the kitchen, I saw Roswell disappear down the hall into the foyer. Then from there, he headed down into the basement. Roswell, buddy, why you go into the vault?
If there was any potential, thing going on,
As in, you were expecting a vision like I get?
well, that would help, potentially. I was more talking to Thanatos through it.
As clever as that is, Roswell, there's a much easier solution. Thanatos!
Oi, what? Oh, we're all here, are we? Well, that's something.
Say, you wouldn't happen to know if Jack was planning to Resident Evil this house, would you?
3. Find 3 and no additional explosions seem to go off.
I figured there'd be 3.
Happy hunting.
So let's see, we found one in a questionable spot. Benson just found the other down here, so we're still looking for the third one then. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad so far. Hey, Haas, why are we searching the library? Being thorough, why? But how did you get in here? Benson let me in, obviously, but the door was closed. If it was, then how did Jack... We should look somewhere else.
Oh, there you two are.
Dean, have you seen Benson?
Can't say I was really paying attention. Upstairs, maybe?
What is happening? Where's Roswell? Has anyone seen him? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What the heck is going on? Whose gun was even being shot? Dean has Dominic's gun. Roswell probably can't even fire one, and Benson has a silencer. Okay, so if you're alive, one of 2 things has happened, neither of which I like.
There's just no good way to say this, but,
I killed him.
What?
I was looking around upstairs and he pulled a gun and fired.
I found Roswell huddled in the corner just like this. Didn't have a gun on him, but Benson was dead there on the ground.
What the heck is happening?
Yeah, right, that's enough of that.
Roswell killed him.
Yeah, self-defense and all that. Sheesh, can we just move on to the next part?
Which is what? Dave, you've been out for a while.
Also, geez, what was that for? Okay, but what happened?
When Thanatos came with the bomb and gave it to Dean to disarm, he made some sort of squeaking sound. It knocked Roswell out as well. He was still unconscious when we detained him, but he's at least in his room.
I don't know what I expected a number of things to happen in this update, and absolutely none of them have happened. Oh my word, this is so far off what I thought was going to be in this update.
Roswell, are you there?
Why am I locked in my room?
Buddy, do you remember what happened after Dean brought you downstairs?
I remember. I told you what I know already. I was looking for the bombs. Benson came into the room, pulled out his gun, and tried to shoot me.
Where did the gun come from?
It was in the room already.
Roswell, I can hear you lying through this door. Attaboy, Huss.
I'm not lying. You want to know my alibi for the night Orlando died? I was in the house. I ran the day before he went running outside.
Roswell, did you kill Oswin?
No, I didn't kill him.
And?
I don't get it. Everything sounded like he was telling the truth after we called him out on his lie, but it was off somehow. All I know is that Roswell isn't being entirely honest with us. I don't want it. It can't. It can't. It cannot. He's the freaking star of the next game. I can't. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make... It doesn't... I'm completely lost. I have no way to explain what just happened. We are so close to the end of this game. How am I still being left with more questions than answers at this point?
Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious.
You know, I only have a vague idea of what's going to be in this update, so if Benson is or isn't stringing us along with more empty promises of answers yet, we'll soon find out. To be honest, I don't have a lot whole else to say otherwise this time around. We're so close to the end of this mystery, I feel it's difficult to make accurate speculations, which is the weird thing to say for a mystery, honestly. While I hear this is a shorter update, I get the feeling it's not going to be an empty one by any means, though. Even as I was unconscious, it hurt. It hurt in a way I couldn't quite understand, but I could feel the lingering ache in my head all the same. I was no stranger to Thanatos' habits of putting me under, but why he was still doing it eluded me.
Yeah, I forgot the Pez dispenser did that last time.
I missed my bus, I think. Dave misses the bus. Now that's a timeline I hadn't thought of before. If this was a dream, fine. If this was a memory, then what was traumatic about this event? As if to answer my question, a screeching car in the distance caught my attention and I stood suddenly. I could feel my first stand on end as the car came speeding towards around the corner down the street towards me. Things went black just before the car crashed into the bus stop. Whew, that was close. Dave came dangerously close to becoming Jun there for a second. You know, for being called Thanatos, he sure is living up to his other name. The house was quiet, and from what I could tell, I was the only one up. The thought of the fire was lingering on my mind. Did we have a fire extinguisher? Good to see where your priorities are, Dave. Dave? Good morning, you little bacon bit. Are you feeling okay?
Well, better than I did yesterday, that's for sure. Do you remember much about what happened when you came to the rec room yesterday?
What does he get out of knocking us both out, though?
I couldn't tell you. Catch him off guard near an open window and you might be able to enjoy a little bit of defenestration.
There it is. There it is. Roswell, it's too early for long words. You know, while I'm thinking about it, I want to address the constant stance I have concerning the possibility of Roswell as the mastermind now that we're this close to the end. While I admit I am biased towards Florencia, I'm not blind. I see the writing on the wall. I see the clues and the hints towards him. I want to explain why I haven't changed my mind though, because there is more at stake here than just a simple whodunit. The problem is, if Roswell turns out to be the mastermind, it will have irreparable consequences. Dean, Haas, Oz, heck, even Tyson could be it for all that matters. The fact it points to Roswell, though, is the problem. I've been over this 1,000 times, and I can think of no other solution left. If Roswell's the mastermind, this story has built itself an ultimatum with only two options left. Either Password as a story will fail, or Syndicate will die before it even begins. Let me explain. For Password to succeed, if Roswell is the mastermind, then how do we resolve this little boar has been slaughtering his friends through countless timelines? He has to face judgment. From a logistical standpoint on the true timeline, it may not make immediate sense, but from a narrative perspective, it would be insane for him not to. Not to mention Grizz has already publicly stated that the bad guy will get what they deserve by the end of the story, meaning the mastermind will be brought to justice. As a result, Syndicate will die before it even begins, because Roswell will be one of the main characters. If he's the villain now, no one will want to play the mass murderer claiming to be the hero simply because it's a different title from the first game. On the other hand, if Syndicate is even to have a chance at succeeding and Roswell is the mastermind, we still have to answer the same question. How does this get resolved? Simply put, the only way to allow true ending Roswell to exist as is, who is also the same Roswell as Syndicate's Roswell, is to absolve that version of him from previous crimes. To do this, we simply need to use the argument that, on this timeline, he never committed any murders, and thus can't be held accountable for his past selves. While this goes against what Grizz has said in a technical sense, it would logically fit within the rules of Password's universe. The drawback to this, however, means that while Syndicate would live, Password will fail the moment Roswell is revealed. That little boar getting off scot-free because of timeline shenanigans means the narrative moral of Password could be interpreted as murder is okay if you can get away with it. Not only would that be a horrific message to send, but would also completely undermine the entirety of the story and its purpose of overcoming loss. Like I said, I see the signs, but I can't accept them. Because if Roswell is the mastermind, if he's the one behind all his friends dying, I don't care how good this story is. He can't spin this to be something altruistic to absolve him.
Where is he?
Good evening, Oswald. Who?
Thanatos! What did he do?
Orlando, Dean, and I were following as close behind Oswin as we could, only just catching him heading into Roswell's room. He's unconscious.
Someone sedated him. He's out cold.
Yeah, it's not too funny when you're not the one doing it, huh, Oz?
You'll just have to pick someone else to go with you.
I love this. I freaking love this. Video before last, I got told by multiple people that I was jumping to conclusions for saying that Dave was gonna be the one to go. I knew it. I called it. Of course he was gonna be the one to go. Freaking knew it.
Dave, we should have a talk.
You're going to ask me to go out into the woods.
Too obvious? There's things that need to be said beyond the range which a certain rat can listen in. Things about your father. Things about Roswell and myself. Things just better coming from my mouth.
Okay. I hate this, but okay. Eventually, I stepped back outside, noticing Oswin lingering about as if just waiting for Dominic's arrival. But we weren't waiting for long.
Sorry I'm late.
Let's get going. Dominic led the way forward, Oswin beside me as we followed close behind.
Well, we're out here now. We're free to talk. I assumed you had questions.
I assumed you had answers. Or, if not answers, things you wanted to tell me. He rummaged in his coat pocket and pulled out an envelope. Is that the same one from your lab?
Yes, though given the circumstances, I'm going to give it to you now.
Alright, so start talking about my dad.
Did Thanatos ever tell you what David saw?
You did. It was a shooting.
Right, when I told you why Carol was here.
Dad wanted to bring Memphis in, but also save my life.
A father, a decent one at least, will do anything for his son.
Things are different now. I feel not entirely better, but a little bit. I want to live. It's hard, but I think that's what Dad would have wanted. Benson said you always wanted to be a dad, but life said otherwise. Said that's why you interacted the way you did with Roswell.
I suppose that's not entirely inaccurate.
So are you related or what?
The photo I gave you explains that better.
Freaking, of course. Freaking, of course. Well, answer the question. Dave taking control. I like it.
Alright, yes, we're related.
Cue confetti. So, like an uncle?
That's a close enough description. I wouldn't go putting a label on it, but I do care for the boy.
And Roswell knows?
I wouldn't put it past him to assume that we're related, though I haven't explicitly told him that we share a family tree.
Roswell has been to the mansion before.
Yes.
Why hide any of this? Why not say anything sooner? Why lie about it?
Don't think too hard on it, Dave. Everything I've told you doesn't affect much now anyway.
What's the significance about the letter?
I wrote a message on the back. A message for Roswell. Dave,
What?
I'm sorry for you getting wrapped up in things. If I had been a better man, a stronger man, then perhaps I could have thought of a way your father might still be with us. Though I still wonder how much Thanatos has properly orchestrated everything that's happened.
What do you mean?
Well, given Memphis keeps his list of associates either frequently out in the open or hidden somewhere where no one else knows to look, getting anything of value information-wise would be difficult. What I mean is your father only arrived on this mountain because I called. At the time you pointed out I hadn't done business with Memphis, and while I had spoken to him, there was no way the police would know that.
We're getting close.
It'd been the first time Dom had spoken since we left. Nothing else was said until we hit a point where soft light was lingering somewhere between the trees, and eventually we'd arrived. I had been waiting for 2 years to see this cabin. It was a cabin, or given how run down it was, probably closer to a shack. Hilarious, Dave. This is surprisingly decorative. What the heck is the significance of this place anyway, in terms of the overall story?
Well, look at the cat dragon.
It's been a hot minute since we've seen you. We all looked over to the figure hunched over a table, facing away from us. He seemed to be playing cards or something, but it was hard to tell.
Just dropping one of these off before heading out again. Well, can I come with this time at least? I don't think I can take any more of the music. Take it up with the boss.
The figure at the table suddenly sat erect, casually sliding the playing cards aside. He then reached beneath the table, producing what appeared to be a boombox of all things. The lights in the cabin suddenly flicked out when the man pressed the play button. I froze, stunned. Not because he had done anything shocking, but because the spotlight that suddenly turned on from seemingly nowhere.
Slow down, no say.
Well, hey, howdy, hey, Memphis. It's been quite literally over a year since I had to do your voice.
Well, alright then, I'll see how it is. You all know how we got on the mountain, consider it a trade then.
In a huff, Dominic left, keeping the door open but seemingly unimpressed. As I went to move, a meaty hand landed on my shoulder.
Now, where do you think you're going, kid?
Oh, I see. The turns have tabled.
That wasn't the deal.
You see, that's where you're wrong. You can just claim up the moment the kids get off the mountain. Taking the kid, though, I think you'd be more than willing to be helpful once you've told the rest how to get home.
Oswald looked at me, torn between apologetic and angry.
I'll be back.
What are you going to do with me?
Me? Nothing. Now we can sit back and enjoy the music. Confounded machine. Jack, I thought I told you to fix this.
Oh, sorry, boss. Boy, what a shame that is.
Well, let's take him to the other room.
Other room. It was cold and dusty. I could feel a draft coming in from somewhere, but above me, hanging from the ceiling, were hooks. We're finally there. You're not gonna hurt me?
Can't go having any fun without Dom saying it's fine. Stupid deal. He chased one hyena for fun and the boss makes you listen to his mixtape.
With a wave, Jack left the room and closed the door behind him. I could hear him wander away, then muffled sounds of him talking with Memphis about something.
Jack, my boy, great news. I got the mixtape working again.
Oh, joy.
You know, I just realized that this is probably a very different experience for Dave on Orlando's route. After a few minutes to myself, I remembered the envelope in my pocket. After a few more seconds, I carefully opened it, reaching in and looking at the photo. God, that was true. You know what, Oz? I'll concede. You were right. This does explain a lot more than if you had just said it.
The lollipop is as big as his head, oh jeez.
Florencia. It made sense after what Oswin had said. It meant that Oswin was Roswell's uncle if Florencia was his mom, right? But why didn't I remember seeing her? But then I came to the question of the father. Maybe this woman wasn't Florencia, and instead the father was going to be Oswin's brother? I did not understand. This wasn't Roswell's dad, or at least it couldn't be. Oswin said it'd be fine if I read the note, so long as Roswell got it too. You know what? I can't say I'm disappointed. I waited and waited. I heard Dominic come back and someone else leave. I could hear hushed voices between those still here, but nothing else. Someone would come for me. Someone would find me. Eventually.
Gosh dang it, Jack, I told you to be careful with that thing.
Sorry, boss, I tripped.
Two years. 2 years I've been playing this game. In that time, I've taken a lot of notes, crafted a lot of theories, and yet I still feel unprepared for what's about to come. I know vaguely what's going to be in this update, facts, not specifics. I'm really not exaggerating when I'm saying my heart started pounding when I saw this update on Patreon. I'm scared. I'm actually scared. I don't know if I'm ready. But here we are. Okay. Let's do this. Once and for all. Time continued to pass long into the night. To the point I could hear someone turning in and entering the adjoining room where the beds were. Thank you for breaking the tension a little. I needed that. I must have been fading in and out of consciousness too, because at some point I could have sworn I saw Dominic standing in the room with me. It wasn't until he spoke that I realized I wasn't hallucinating and found myself a lot more awake.
The boss is asleep.
Why hasn't Oswin come back yet? How long has it been?
What hours? Are you hungry or not?
He pulled out some jerky from his back pocket and threw it at me, landing in front of me on the floor. Bonding with Dominic is not how I thought this was going to start, but you know what? Okay.
And I'll get you a blanket.
Why? My question made him pause, tilting his head slightly.
This isn't me feeling sorry for you, or trying to make up for what the boss did. You're just more valuable to us alive. The boss changing his mind like that, though. I wasn't too pleased with that change of plan.
He shrugged and left, leaving me alone to chew on what little rations I'd been given. My mind drifted over to Memphis in the room opposite, wondering what kind of man could sleep so soundly while doing so much damage. This is what my dad became a police officer for. To make the world safe from people like him. Though, given how things is up, a part of me died inside knowing that the bad guys won that fight. When I opened my eyes, I was still in the cabin. Part of me wondered if this was some sort of Thanatos-induced dream, but the numbness in my fingers told me it wasn't. The sound of a roar-like yawn signaled at least someone was awake. I listened to them heavily walk out of the room opposite and down the hall. Then those same footsteps wandered back towards my room, stopping just outside the door.
Good morning, Dave. Time to go outside.
Someone's here for me? Really?
No.
Why are we going outside? Everything about this is making me uneasy. All of it. Were my friends off the mountain yet? Had they made it somewhere safe so they could call for help or not?
You're acting quiet.
We're literally chained to a tree. What do you want us to do?
Not even trying to get away or call for help. You do like making this an easy job. I have to admit, I wonder what's keeping Oswin from coming back. Seemed pretty keen on returning.
An hour or two might have passed before anyone left the cabin, and I looked up the moment I heard the door open.
Had fun outside?
Oh yeah, it was great. We looked at a mushroom and everything. We left the cabin. Memphis was leading the others somewhere, and I was just along for the ride. Why are we meeting here? Okay, this is a little too far. I didn't think we were going in this far.
Go make a spot for the kid. I'm gonna make a run for this place.
Oh, I hate this. Nothing but bad things have ever happened in this room.
Listen to me, dumb. You know what this place is. I know what this place is. So does the boss. You want to risk Dave figuring it out?
What?
The way off the mountain is through here. Pretty deep, but you'll need to go through here.
Through the water mill? Is it a freaking mine?
Reckon the boss made the right call. Dumb, buddy, pal, friend.
Oh no, we saw this. I don't remember. Oh, that was so long ago. I don't remember what this was.
You can just say yes.
He's about to say that he's bored.
Look, I don't know. Don't care. I just want to know when we get into some action. I'm so bored.
Could always go say hello to our friend if he's conscious.
Neat trick.
Oh God, no.
You've been listening in on us.
Oh, wait, what am I talking about? It's Memphis. He's an idiot. Right, he doesn't know how this works. Why was I worried?
At least you have the common sense not to lie to me.
Where is Oswin?
Late.
Someone moved nearby. I could hear them get up and start to walk towards me. He reached out for me and sat me up, but the moment he opened his mouth was the moment I knew something was wrong.
Drink this.
Dean, you got taller. I looked between all three of them, wondering what was going to happen next.
Get him up.
We're just moving all over the place.
So, turns out no one's coming for you, kid. Unfortunately for you, I don't like waiting.
Well, come on, Dave. Let's get you locked back up.
I have a better idea, Jack. We're gonna let Dave here go. We're gonna let him head back to the mansion to see for himself what the holdup is. Jack, why don't you give Dave here a little going away present?
Before I'd even register what was going on, Jack had stabbed me in the side. Help! Anyone! Even as the river came into view, the only thing I could register was the pain coursing up my side. Walking down the bank of the river, I thought back on my life. The most recent development in my life that seemed to have shaped me in what I assumed would have been a great way. For everything bad that had happened, a bunch good happened too. Immediately, the fact that Tyson found a friend and is seeming to slowly accept it into the group made me happy. As for Haas, I'm glad he was still fitting in. For someone that I'd only known a year, I knew I was around a good person when I was with him. Then there was Dean and Orlando. As much as a mess that I'd been in the past year and a half, they both done their best to constantly make me smile. All three of us had our troubles. The two of them made it feel normal. I thought back to Roswell and Sal. I felt I could trust both of them, just being wiser or at the very least smarter than me. Though given my current circumstances, I wished that something had just happened to prevent them from coming through with a rescue plan. I can keep going. I have to keep going. As I continued on, I heard a voice calling for me. Somewhere far off, but it was my name. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a brief glimpse of something bright moving through the trees, and thought it was Jack, but when I focused, I knew it wasn't. Started to follow where it went. The only bearing I had, given the river, was all I had, and I knew it didn't run alongside the house. At last, however, I came to a stop in a small glade, with that figure standing there, as if waiting for me. Hello? I somehow knew it would be you. Dad?
Hey, sport.
Why are you here?
You needed me. Though you're looking a bit rough there, buddy. What happened?
A lot. I need to get back to the mansion. I need help.
Well, better follow me then.
Dad, wait. I can't go that fast.
What's the matter, sport?
I'm sorry.
What for?
I'm sorry for not being a better son.
Don't go thinking you were a failure as a son, Dave.
You died because of me.
Saving you. When I found out you were going to die, I was given a choice to save you, and I took it.
There was a light haze to the woods now. I wasn't sure if it was because it was getting closer to the morning or lights from the house, but I was willing to take it as a sign. Then why are you showing up now? Am I going insane?
Who isn't a little bit like peanut butter, son?
Huh?
Nutty?
Maybe I'm more like you than I thought.
And I couldn't be prouder.
I needed to sit down. The tiredness and loss of blood was too much. My breath caught in my chest and I started to cry. I didn't bother to wipe them away, instead thinking about my friends, my family, anyone and everyone important to me. I knew it was coming, and while I wasn't ready, I had accepted it.
Dave.
He reached out for me and edged forward as if he was scared I'd break. I could see it in his eyes, even in the dark, that he was terrified. He had me against his back and carried me. Each step was careful, but at the same time I could tell he was trying to hurry. Are we going back to the mansion?
I'll get you off the mountain, Dave.
Thank you.
He set me down gently and laid me back against a tree. The moment I could feel the ground under me, I sighed and looked up at my dad. Thanks for coming to save me.
I couldn't leave you out there, Dave.
I'm just so glad that you came.
Dave,
What?
I'm not Dad. Dave, I'm here.
Ty?
I couldn't leave you out there. I just couldn't wait.
I'm sorry.
Just hold on a little longer, alright? We're almost back.
I'm just happy that
What?
I didn't get left behind.
Just a little longer, Dave. That's all we need. Please.
Dave. Dave? Where am I? The mansion? How did I get back here? I thought... What? Tyson. Where's Tyson? Oh, don't worry, Dave. The others will be here in a second.
Jeez, calm down. You really freak at everything, don't you?
Well, wait a minute. I recognize your voice. You're that fox that's been in my head the last 2 years. Very good, Dave. Looks like you finally put 2 and 2. You're the one that's been calling me a stupid child all this time. And yet, which one of us is throwing a tantrum right now? Fine. What do you want? What am I doing here? I thought I was... Dying? Yes, you were. Wait, does that mean... This is... But you're here? I didn't go to the other place, did I? Charming, really. But no, Dave, you can relax. I broke the script. You're not dead. Not yet. I apologize for rudely interrupting your big moment and all, but I've been working on this bit for literally 4 months now. And as unfortunate timing as it is, there will literally never be an opportunity for this again. So I'm gonna need you to ignore the whole being stabbed thing for a little bit and work with me here, okay? Bit? What? I don't get it. Oh, don't worry, you will. But anyway, now that we've officially broken the fourth wall, let's get folks together, shall we? What?
Okie dokie, that should be everyone, Wilson. Wasn't easy finding a few people, but I think that's everyone now.
Wait, Roswell? You know this guy too?
Of course. I do have the most experience breaking this game after all. Next to Sal and Vincent. Besides, Wilson was a bus driver, remember?
He was? I thought the bus driver was a polar bear.
Oh yeah. I guess that was before he got retconned in. Try not to think about it too hard. Might cause a paradox.
Wait, what? I'm sure you're all curious as to why I've broken time and space to bring you here today, especially at such a climactic moment of the game. As you all are aware by now, a number of crimes have taken place in this mansion over the past month. Not 1, not 2, but countless murders over countless timelines, leaving an endless trail of seemingly impossible mysteries. Each one of you have been a victim in one timeline or another, and each mystery has gone unsolved. Until today. With great effort and years of deduction, I have in fact solved each one of your cases. And now, with you all in attention, I shall explain how it was I arrived at these conclusions. So I cordially invite you all upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning as we work through these deductions together now. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. Let us begin with the case of Roswell, a murder most well known and loved by all players of this game.
Wait, what's that supposed to mean?
Yes, a classic locked room murder. One way in, but no way out. How could this boar have perished, you ask? The answer is simple if we examine the facts. The first thing that stands out is how the body is clearly posed post-mortem, its intention to direct the viewer's eye to the open book. Yet this piece of hefty literature is not the murder weapon, but instead the axe found under Sal's bed, wielded by none other than the mansion's own butler, only then to be handed off to Sal for disposal of the weapon.
I beg your pardon? What is happening?
The guilt on your face only confirms the obvious. One naturally asks why, though. The answer, however, is plain, for neither of you were conscious of your actions while under the influence of hypnosis.
What?
Pardon me, but are you insinuating that myself and Master Warden killed Master Sinclair while sleepwalking?
Indeed, as there can be no other culprit, for you have failed to notice one vital detail, my friend. The door to the museum has an unusually sturdy lock, one that was found sealed upon Roswell's demise. However, this lock was only used upon the perpetrator's discovery Dave had a vision of the future, meaning a certain rodent was listening and waiting to give instructions to the 2 unsuspecting pawns at his disposal that night. Then, under the cover of nightfall, you used the secret passage to the study to hide yourself, never leaving the scene of the crime at all.
That doesn't make any sense.
Let us next consider Dean, perhaps the most perplexing and challenging murder of them all.
Oh, hi. Didn't we figure this out when Grizz explicitly wrote exactly how things happened?
Truly a most boggling mystery. Upon examining the scene, there are numerous veiled facts we can glean, however. Blood dripping from the mouth, a clear sign of poison ingested at the dinner table that night. An unidentified substance on the hand, a transferal of poison perhaps. Yes, these facts clearly reveal to us you were targeted by one singular individual that hid their tracks so well no one could have possibly retraced them.
But who would want to kill me? What did I do?
There was only one person that night who had the opportunity, and that person is none other than the victim of our previous case, Roswell.
Oh, here we go.
That evening, while foraging for mushrooms in the forest, you saw your opportunity for a perfect cover-up, so you struck without hesitation. Using poison stolen from the lab in a veiled act of friendship, you sealed Dean's fate with a simple handshake, after which you simply waited, knowing the bear was too stupid to wash his hands like any normal person.
Well, hey now!
How did you cover your tracks, though? Simple. By being first to have access to the scene of the crime once the deed was done, planting evidence that would inevitably incriminate Orlando above all else.
Interesting conjecture. For someone who knows nothing about poisons, almost sounds like someone told you that one.
Next we have Haas, a lion who at first glance leaves us with more questions than answers. But of course, even the most devilish of puzzles can be devolved into simple explanations using leaps of logic. Yeah, that's not how that works. Stabbed in the heart while unconscious after being dragged from the shower, yet no one was present for the act itself. So who can we point to as the culprit, you ask? Examining the murder weapon itself reveals the answer. For then there is but one logical conclusion. Someone we have seen accused yet before. Benson!
I'm starting to sense a pattern here.
Your blank stare of confusion all but seals the case. After all, you were the one in possession of the hunting knife at the time, betrayed by confession of your own master, Oswin, sometime later.
Allow me to guess. You once again believe I was under someone's influence.
But of course. For what personal strife would a retired assassin have to end the life of a harmless mythomanial lion? After being issued instruction via hypnotic suggestion from a rat, you traveled to the basement where you stabbed Huss to frame Tyson. Yet while in your dazed state, you were able to do little to cover your tracks of such a sloppy murder, leaving behind a scene blatantly different from the one you first found.
I'd never.
But what of Orlando's murder, we must now ask?
Oh god.
For not unlike Roswell, our friendly dragon here was also killed in a near spotless dilemma at first glance. No trace of poisons, injuries, or any sign of struggle.
Is all this really necessary?
Keeping watch for fear of his dear friend, Orlando only let his guard down for a second. Yet within that moment his fate was sealed. For clearly, Orlando must have trusted the killer implicitly. With this knowledge, the true culprit couldn't be simpler. For it was none other than Sal while he was sleepwalking.
I still don't know what's happening.
Yet one conundrum remains to this all but solved mystery. How could you possibly produce the pneumatic injector to administer a lethal dose of sleeping medication while you yourself were in fact asleep?
How?
I'm glad you asked. For Sal was not alone that fateful night, as his courser himself handed in the murder weapon. Yes, for it was none other than Roswell. After you thieved the pneumatic injector from the lab, you used the secret passage to the basement, pawning off the weapon and dispersing from the scene to maintain distance for your alibi.
Oh, 2 for 2 baseless accusations. I don't know what spurred this on, but I'm enjoying it so far.
Next, we have Sal, living up to his species as a cold-blooded reptile while locked in the freezer with no way out. A truly chilling murder to witness.
I feel that combo was uncalled for.
The method of murder may at first seem elusive, but in fact could be no simpler, for your sleep attire reveals the truth. While sleepwalking, you were ordered into the freezer, after which the perpetrator sealed the door behind you, preventing it from being opened from the inside.
Let me guess, you're gonna blame me again.
An interesting conclusion, Roswell. Were you perhaps a bit more vertically inclined, however, you may be a competent contender based on your track history thus far.
Did you just call me short?
He just called you short.
Instead of the stature of one boar, we must instead consider the pervasive hunting knife found at the scene of the crime. Wedged in the floor to ensure Sal's demise, we know already based on previous murders who was in possession of the weapon at the time.
Good heavens, my boy, not again.
That's right, for it was none other than the butler yet again. Ironically, also under the influence of hypnosis, no less. Not only did you possess the hunting knife at the time, but the knowledge of how to dismantle the freezer control panel as well.
Is this like a game?
Shh, let him finish. I want to see where this train wreck ends.
And at last, and sadly least as well, we have Tyson, a grizzled corpse clutching to one fragment of hope as he tries to flee his pursuers in the darkness of night. Clearly, we can only—
Shut it, Fox! Let me guess, you're gonna say I was killed by aliens or some bull like that, yeah?
That, Tyson, would certainly have proved to be a far more interesting chain of events than what actually transpired. But sadly, no, you succumbed to quite possibly the most boring and simple murderer of the lot.
What's that supposed to mean?
There was no premeditation, no elaborate ploy, and no cover-up, but a simple game of tag that teetered on the most dangerous of edges. For upon venturing into the woods that fateful night in a fit of man-child angst, you were greeted by two murderous figures I'm sure everyone knows by now. Dominic and Jack.
Oh, Dom, buddy, look, it's our turn.
Chased like a wild animal for the sadistic pleasure of it all, Tyson was in fact mauled to death by a common bear and rabbit.
Yeah, that sounds like something I do.
At long last, however, we finally come to the biggest mystery of them all, the revelation of the true mastermind themselves. But who could we point to? What can we possibly glean? What facts can we reveal to the true culprit that started this murderous puzzle across time and space? We know they clearly care to save only one person, and that alone is Dave. Coupled with the fundamental knowledge of morphic resonance, the mansion, and ensuring his survival, only one person remains. One that even I was surprised to discover. The mastermind behind this perilous mystery is none other than Roswell.
Now there's a twist. And here I thought you were after Florencia all this time. Especially after you so venomously denied it could be me in your last monologue. Besides, what reason would I possibly have to kill anyone? Weren't you paying attention? I want everyone to survive.
But you see, my dear boy, your very words just now betray you. For that was the reason you are the mastermind.
Please, enlighten me.
The question stands then, what reason could you have to spontaneously kill your dearest friends? The answer is simple. As you yourself stated not long ago, you wish to save everyone, of course. That is why you had to kill them. Having been the son of Florencia, you were genetically coded into the vault automatically long before the trip. You had also been to the mansion previously. During this time, we can extrapolate you likely were introduced to the vault years prior, and in turn given visions of traumatic future events where your friends perished before your very eyes.
Interesting.
With Thanatos' forewarning, you devised a sinister plan to save them all, for their deaths were already written in stone. So succumbing to the inevitable early by killing them now and allowing their trauma to fuel Dave with resonance points would ensure their survival on the next timeline, even if that meant you yourself dying in the process occasionally. You knew, eventually though, through trial and error, you would be their savior upon finding a singular escape from this wretched fate, saving everyone who might perish and in the process solidifying a surprisingly altruistic motive that could be forgiven under circumstance, ensuring your place in the next game. That is why you, Roswell Sinclair, are the true mastermind of Password. Thus concludes Wilson's great deduction of this game's masterful mystery.
Wow, that was amazing! That was certainly something.
I died and went to hell. This is hell. It has to be. Yeah, Wilson, as much as I appreciate the dedication to the cosplay, I think you got a few things wrong there, buddy. I'm sure a few details slipped through the cracks, but I was just condensing things down so this bit wouldn't last forever. Let me rephrase that. You got it wrong. All of it. You got it all wrong. What do you mean? I can't say how close you were to some stuff, but for example, your closing statement doesn't make any sense. If Roswell was the one behind things, and was using that morphic resonance stuff with Thanatos and the vault, why would he need to kill us to save us? Why not find another way? Yeah, better yet, why even set up the trip at all if he was having visions before the trip? If he was wanting to save us, why not just not go? Or leave when we had the chance? Not to mention, if he was the one behind it, that means he got himself killed on purpose? Well, the timeline repeats itself. Everyone here was destined to die through one means or another. Thanatos told you that, Dave. With you as the key component, once you were kept alive, everyone else would be safe. But the timelines may repeat, but we've been changing stuff every time. Our choices still control how things play out.
Not to mention, my boy, as colourful of an explanation as it was for you to accuse me of most deeds while sleepwalking, I already confirmed earlier that I have not sleptwalked since my younger years. Thanatos also confirmed as much.
But Thanatos' memories are being altered by his master. He could have removed you from them to shift the blame from himself.
Master Wilson, I urge you to think. How would that have worked? Even if what you say is true, the conclusion would be the same. My proposed involvement as an unwilling agent couldn't possibly affect the outcome.
So... that's it? I've been deep diving this mystery for 2 years and that's all there is? Well, you did your best. That counts for something. Plus extra points for style. You even seemed to impress Roswell during that. Wait. Where did Roswell get to?
Hold it!
What? Roswell, what are you?
I'll give you credit, Wilson. That was an admirable performance. But I'm afraid playing Ace Attorney has spoiled your judgment. For here in this final act, you missed everything of importance.
No, you're not saying.
If you would cast your mind back, let us reconsider your steps and see what really unfolded. Let's begin in this joint reasoning and logic spectacular. let's begin with a reflection over the case of Dean. I admit, Wilson, you were quite spot on with your explanation. A little too spot on, actually. After all, you didn't do a great job at hiding the fact this particular mystery had been laid out for you in full a while back.
Can we please stop focusing on that? The mystery's the hardest one of them all. That meme exists for a reason.
And unfortunately, you weren't able to stop the counter from resetting either. For if we examine the crime scene and retrace what we know Dean steps to be that night, it's not all that difficult to extract exactly what transpired, because Dean was in fact precisely correct about everything he said during his investigation.
Wait, I was? Really?
Yet sadly, as Wilson demonstrated, even being told exactly what happened isn't enough to reveal the truth, it seems. The perpetrator that night transferred what we can easily deduce to be potassium cyanide from Oswald's lab onto Dean's hands sometime prior to dinner. Then it was merely a waiting game for Dean to succumb to his fate. After which, the murderer would only need a few moments alone with the body to cover their tracks and leave enough evidence to implicate someone else.
Yes, of course, the ammonia smell caused by the fertilizer. But Dean's hand was still covered in powder. Why break the open bags and just leave a deadly poison behind at the scene?
Who said that it was cyanide powder, though? For if you remember from our brief lesson in mycology by Dean himself, deadly jack-o'-lantern spores glow in the dark, just as the powder at the scene did.
Wait, you don't mean...
That's right! The ammonia smell was merely a ploy to fool Dave's heightened senses, solidifying the false evidence and Orlando's guilt and removing all traces of the actual killer. But what of Haas now? It's almost disappointing how close you were to the truth. Even with misguided theories, you all but unwittingly solved the case. Yet you missed the most crucial twist.
It was the pants, wasn't it? I knew there was something weird about those from the start. This obsession you have with my pants is unhealthy. I'm allowed to have more than one outfit, you know.
While Haas's sense of fashion is in itself another mystery altogether, that's not the point here.
The only piece of evidence left behind at the scene was the knife. From this, we can deduce it was surely Benson who committed the deed, can we not?
An interesting observation, Wilson, though you fail to answer the question posed still. We don't need the testimony of another conspirator, or any outside information in fact. What we see before us is all we need to solve this puzzle.
Are you daft, my boy? You're taking his side in the matter.
Of course, for even through flawed logic, Wilson's conclusion is sound. What he failed to miss, however, is the orientation of the knife itself. Only someone who premeditated this murder would think ahead to stab at the heart in such a manner. Someone who was once a trained assassin.
But how does that differ from my conclusion? I said the same thing!
Because, Wilson, Benson was never hypnotized to begin with. He simply posed the body post-mortem in such a way to make it appear as if someone less skilled than him ended Haas's life, all by order of the one who gave the command in the first place.
I was so close!
What of Orlando now, though?
Oh no, not again.
But as impossible as this conundrum might seem, we need not burden ourselves with solving this puzzle a second time. For I already explained how things transpired when we investigated before.
Yes, an overdose of sleeping medication is apparent, administered by hypnotized Sal via pneumatic injector.
Quite correct. Anyone with a basic understanding of pharmacology could easily deduce the signs of lethal injection of panchronium bromide.
Bless you.
Wilson, that's Dave's only joke and you know it.
What? I'm still here! So you're saying my deduction was correct then?
Don't get ahead of yourself just yet, as at the climax of your reasoning you fail to realize one very important factor. Any good mastermind always keeps their distance from the game board, a lesson Thanatos tried and apparently failed to teach you. You falsely accused me of handing off the pneumatic injector to Sal, when in truth, there was someone else who had the opportunity to do so. It was none other than Benson yet again.
Boy, I'm growing tired of this act.
Then perhaps you should reconsider your loyalties. You should have covered your tracks a bit more thoroughly though, as it was only you that could have produced the injector for Sal.
You and I are going to have a word on this matter later.
I believe Sal was next on your list. Yet another closed-door mystery, though thankfully this one isn't much of a cold case as it may seem.
Oh, it's my turn again? Do I get to play as well?
Sure, Sal, why not? It was your penchant for hyperliteralism that spurred this incident, after all. For you already know the true culprit that lured you into the freezer that night.
I do?
For it was none other than Tyson, guilty by his own admission, no less.
What? I didn't kill him.
Oh, but Tyson, I never said you intended to take Sal's life. I simply pointed out that you were the reason he did. As when you encountered Sal wandering the halls late that night, you unwittingly gave the very command that sealed his fate.
I didn't give him any command. He was acting weird, so I told him to chill.
Oh, I get it now.
Wait, no, you don't... Sal, you went into the freezer because of that? Are you serious?
Yet another opportunity to heed my advice from before, Wilson. The solution to any problem is usually the easiest one. For yes, it was Tyson's own words that guided Sal's actions that night, leading him into the freezer.
Okay, while as ridiculous as that is, that doesn't explain who sealed the freezer door and broke the control panel, though.
Is the reason for that really such a mystery, though? Sal's actions evidently skewed the true killer's plans. Thus, they simply broke the control panel to the freezer through sheer force and used the hunting knife to wedge the door shut in haste.
Well, yes, but that doesn't explain who did it, though.
But I believe last was Tyson. Wilson was surprisingly spot on about you, however, if not completely missing the point over how things unfolded.
First you pinned me for Sal kicking the bucket, then you rub it in by telling me how to die again. This is even better than an apology.
Is there really much to uncover here? Jack was eager to take the credit for this literally a few minutes ago.
The deed was clearly the work of Dominic and Jack. That much is evident to anyone with a basic grasp of what's going on. After all, Tyson's case is the simplest. But the question you're missing isn't who, but why. Why does Tyson stand out as unique from the others?
Why? I don't follow.
Everyone at the mansion was clearly accounted for as part of a larger purpose, one we know that centralizes around Dave. Tyson, however, stands apart from the rest. The reason is simple. He wasn't originally invited to the mansion until most arrangements had already been made. From this, we can gather his murder was unfortunately nothing more than sheer coincidence when he ran into the woods. Thus, there was no need for premeditation on the part of the mastermind or any elaborate ploy, as Tyson's own actions through virtue of his frustrations was what doomed him that night.
Wait a minute. As impressive as all that was, Roswell, I just realized we've deduced every one of the original murders so far except for your own.
Glad to see you were paying attention. You seem to finally be listening to my advice. I've given my own murder some thought, and while we lack the specifics to confirm what really happened that day, we can still easily deduce how things must have went down.
It was clear Sal was hypnotized at the time of the murder, as we found out he was in possession of the axe which was found under his bed sometime later. Though based on how this little dance has gone thus far, I imagine you're going to tell me Benson wasn't involved.
And how could he be? Not only have we confirmed he was never hypnotized while sleepwalking, as you once speculated, but we also have one person who even admitted to having the opportunity to kill me already. Oswin.
Ah, so attention finally turns to me, does it? I already admitted to you both that I was held up in the study that day. Obviously, though, Roswell is still with us, so clearly I committed no such crime that you're accusing me of.
Yeah, besides, why would Oswin have killed you anyway? You're telling me he had some hidden motive to kill his own flesh and blood?
A desire to kill me? Perhaps not. But per his own admission, Oswin was in the study and undoubtedly heard everything that happened that day. Meaning we can conclude when Sal arrived with the axe, he already knew I was destined to die. Recognizing that, the pieces of what must have transpired fall into place exactly as one would expect.
Wait, Sal? You couldn't possibly mean...
Yes, as the one behind the medical trials, Oswin already knew Sal was the singular child to survive the experiments. Racked with guilt, he no doubt revealed himself upon hearing Dave's reaction and reluctantly was forced to kill me instead of letting the last remaining innocent survivor, that was Sal, become a murderer on top of everything already. When the deed was done, he simply set Sal on his way, locked the door to the museum inside, and returned to the study. Using his extensive foreknowledge of morphic resonance, he simply poised the body in such a way to point to the book. A breadcrumb, if you will, that would stand out to Dave and the others, leaving them with questions and preventing the group from splintering further from accusing anyone, thus ensuring everyone else's survival for an optimal outcome given the circumstances. And that, Wilson, is the truth to how all of these mysterious murders of this game truly came to pass. Hold it!
While this dance of reasoning and logic spectacular has brought to light the answers to the burning mysteries that have plagued us all for years now, one question still remains unanswered.
Ah, yes, but of course, I haven't forgotten. The biggest mystery of them all still remains unsolved even now. Who is the real mastermind of this harrowing game?
The true mastermind has been in control all along, even before the story as we know it began. Reviewing the facts, we can make a number of important deductions. First, the mastermind only cares to save a singular individual, that whom we know to be Dave. Their entire plan revolves around his survival alone, which in turn, through power of resonance points, will ensure the longevity of everyone else in future timelines.
Oswin, Benson, and Sal were under hypnotic suggestion. We can safely reason that the mastermind was never working alone, but has some level of control over these particular individuals.
Through this, we can conclude the mastermind has indeed been within the mansion this whole time. That eliminates the majority of secondary characters, including Oswin and Benson themselves. Thus, the culprit is one of the main cast, and in turn, we unwittingly uncover the truth about the pervasive legendary lie that has been present with us this whole time.
And if we realize the mastermind is within the main group, we can further narrow down our search by recalling Thanato's pointed words on varying occasions through process of elimination. This removes Sal and Orlando, as well as Dean, Haas, and Tyson.
And if Dave cannot be considered a suspect, then that would only leave one individual. One person that had the knowledge, the motive, and the opportunity to pull this off.
Absolutely spectacular.
But that would mean, without a shadow of a doubt,
I'm glad we've had this dance together. Over the last 2 years, I've watched from the sidelines as you theorized and sleuthed this mystery from top to bottom. Not always correctly, mind you, but I'd say that's a work in progress well fought.
But why though? Why would you help guide me through this? Why willingly lead us down a path you knew could only end like this?
Because I wanted to see you reach your full potential. And maybe, just maybe yet, you'll continue to grow in your powers of deduction using the advice and reasoning I've taught you now.
For after all, in this masterful mystery of password, there can only be one mastermind.
Me.
Wow. I can't believe it. I mean, I was actually right when it mattered in the end, but I still can't believe it. 2 years since I started playing this game, and it's all led to this. While the biggest mystery of this game may come to a close, the story is far from over, and there are a number of questions we still need answers to. But for now, I think I'm satisfied with this wild ride of a story. And I absolutely cannot wait to see just what comes next.